together. They do lodge. Is there a possibility that we could have had other options of maybe other judicial facilities, as she stated, that judicial facilities that we could have used? I mean, you're saying in your submission, you actually said that certain courtesies could have been granted her.
That's the Chief Justice.
Although it's not situated in law, as a committee, they could have considered a few things. If someone is going through challenges, it's only normal that, okay, I know that the weight on your shoulders is a lot, so we want to make it a bit lighter, even though you'll be appearing before the committee.
The question you are asking implies that the committee should have been aware of the Chief Justice's childhood traumas.
Oh, come on, Beatrice.
How would they have known?
Don't trivialize some of these.
But they knew she was actually related to
No, how would
the judge?
Don't trivialize some of these things.
Laura, when you were talking, I didn't interrupt
Beatrice,
you.
please.
Please write it down. You can take a pen.
Trivialize some of these.
Write it down when I'm done.
She's making an immediate injunction. What's it called?
I'm
saying
objection before you end.
The committee could not have known. As I sit here, do you know the things that have happened to me during my childhood? Do you know? So at the time of relating
she just
to
spoke
me,
about Martha's Day.
please allow me.
As a lawyer.
How would they have known?
Trivialize this?
First of all, they wouldn't have known. Secondly, this Edu Lodge, we are being told by the man that Justice Torkornoo says that is the embodiment of rule of law. Justice Torkornoo describes Akufo-Addo as the embodiment. He says he's the only president that embodies the rule of law. This embodiment of rule of law has told us that the Edu Lodge represents the highest form of diplomacy and service to your nation. Is that not what Nanado told us? So how did Edu Lodge, which the MPP renovated and believe that is the highest form, or that anytime you see Edu Lodge, what should come to your mind is service to nation and diplomacy. How are we supposed to know that all of a sudden that Edu Lodge will become a traumatic venue? In any case, in Justice Torkornoo's own 17-page statement, she says that the death occurred in June and referred us to a report which, when you read, in fact, that is the final report of the Special Investigation Board on the kidnapping and killing of specified person, and referred us to that report. And in paragraph 9 of that report, the mention of Edu Lodge appeared on 31st October 1982. So if we should go by her account, then at the time the death occurred, Edu Lodge had no place. Nobody is saying that her trauma is not valid. But we are saying that it cannot be the basis to say that the committee is being unfair to you. In fact, my information is that they were rather according her courtesies. Do you know what it means, Annie? For the Chief Justice to always walk to the Supreme Court to go and face trial, seeing bailiffs, clerks, and all other people who serve under her. I think that would be most traumatizing. And I say that we all have our traumatizing moments. Where the Supreme Court is, that is where the divorce courts and circuit courts are. And I say this also as my most traumatic moment as a lawyer. When I was pregnant, there was no washroom in those areas. You had to go and queue. It's not a scene I even want to describe on TV. And any time as a young lawyer pregnant, going to court and thinking that I will not be able to wee for 6 hours, those were my traumatic moments, to the extent I didn't even want to go to those areas. And so I stopped taking certain cases that had to take me there. Are we to talk about our individual traumas when
so
something
this
happens.
decision was actually to make her feel more
So
comfortable.
the idea was that let's not take the head of the judiciary into a building where she supervises is. So let's find a convenient and respectable place. And the Edu Lodge was a respectable place that was recently, renovated and has all the facilities for such sittings. And so even when she came and she realized that nobody knew the historical antecedent. So if you came and you said that, okay, this place reminds me, did she raise it with the committee?
I was going to ask you if you have information on that.
Did she raise
Since
it?
all of this is in camera
she
and all.
ought to have been telling us, since she complained, she ought to have been telling us
that she raised a concern.
I raised this 4 times or so and it was denied. Then we can all come to her aid. She cannot present a set of selected facts and then say that on the basis of that, we should be empathetic. To quote the Chief Justice herself, no matter what the complaints are, the law is the law. In this circumstance, has any law been breached? The answer is no. Has her right been violated? The answer is no. But even if her rights were violated, which we vehemently deny, and do you know that celebrated, if you go to law school, the first case you'll be made to brief, at least if you go to University of Ghana. That I know, the rest I can't tell. It's a case, Marbury and Martin. We say that Marbury and Martin is a celebrated case because in that case also, a right of a very big person was breached. And then she went to court. Justice Marshall, who was the Chief Justice then, asked, do you have a right? The court answered yes. Have those rights been breached? The court said yes. Are you in the right court to seek remedy? The court said no. And so however sad your situation is, you are in the wrong court. The question is, does the Chief Justice have rights? The answer certainly is yes. Have those rights been breached? I'm sure to the committee they will say no.
But to her, yes.
She will say yes. But is the Palm View Hotel the venue to seek remedy when your rights are breached? The answer is as good as what we all know.
But who called for the Palm View Hotel?
Is it Palm View or Palms? Is it now holiday in now Palm? So is the Palms Hotel the right place to go when your rights are breached, especially as a Chief Justice? That is the question we should be asking. Okay. The answer certainly is no. So why the hotel? Why the press conferences? At the end of the day, what is the role of the citizens in making sure that even if your rights are breached, rights which we contend have not been breached, what should we do? Into the crack thing. At the end of the day, so after the press conference, what's next? For us to be discussing it every time, that the Chief Justice who has, sat on cases, watched people fight their human rights, believe that when her rights are violated, she ought to call the media and tell them that, oh, you know what, my rights are being violated. I think that the Chief Justice should go to court. I will urge her to go to court. I will urge her to fight if she believes her rights are breached, because that is what we are taught to do as lawyers. And I wish her all the best.